we have to grab people's attention and grab it quickly.
Yeah.
Why? What's the evolutionary reason for that?
Well, one of the biggest reasons is that we are the Pleistocene's biggest chicken. We are wimpy. You've heard of fight or flight response? It mostly isn't fight. Fight was a last resort. What we mostly did is we just ran. And the reason why is that from an evolutionary point of view, we decided to grow our fangs in our head and not in our fingers. So there's only so much. It's a zero-sum energy system in there. You've got to divert the resources somewhere. Take a look at our fingers. I mean, those claws doesn't do well against paper. Take a look at look at our canines, for God's sake. Raccoons are better adapted than we are with it. Take a look at our thermal exchange with our hair, and we're not particularly furry. We have an endoskeleton that just breaks all the time. I mean, there's a wimpy. If we were to survive, and we did, we had to come up with a solution that would be different than anybody else's, that will allow us a solution that, by the way, ended up being so powerful, we became the apex predator of the world.
Instead of growing stronger to survive and thrive, we grew smarter, and we were able to use language to get people to cooperate, which is where I see storytelling and symbolic language. How does that apply to me today when I am trying to persuade another person to take action on my ideas?
Well, let's take a look at why we survived in general with this idea of an opposable thumb in our big fat brains. What about our big fat brains allowed us to survive? We actually think we know the answer to that. It's because we had the ability to make a friend. We had a cognitive gadget called theory of mind. Theory of mind is the ability to understand the psychological interiors of another person, to understand the intentions and motivations of someone else. It's as close to mind reading as the brain gets. It ends up being embodied, Carmine, in the word cooperative. We cooperated with each other. It's a way of doubling your biomass without doubling your biomass. I mean, you could wait 20 million years for your body column to get big. That's the route that elephants probably took, and they are apex in their world as well. But if you wait a few 100,000 years with just changing some neurons in the brain, theory of mind, so that you can create an ally, you have doubled your biomass without waiting to double your biomass. And as a result, you can take over the world. It's a more flexible social system because we can not only have you and me have a relationship, Carmine, we can have relationships with lots of other people. And as a force, be able to exert survival strategies over an entire broad swath of Earth real estate.
Well, in one of your books, Brain Rules for Work, you write that the brain thrives on this, not only patterns, but on storytelling. And it would seem to me that the storytelling aspect of what you're talking about is a way for humans to attract others to a unified story or a common goal and to ensure cooperation.
You know where we think storytelling came from, if we stay with the theory of mind stuff for a second? It's a way of being a flight simulator. It's called mental time travel. It's a part of what's called an executive function suite. Mental time travel is the ability to envision something that might happen and then make a decision based on that envisioning before it happens. So teenagers are horrible at this. That's why they make all kinds of mistakes. But mental time travel allows you to simulate something before you actually do it. Storytelling and the myths that can come from it is a way of doing a flight simulation. It's a way of saying, this is what will happen to you if you do this. Here's a story about what will happen when X, Y, and Z occurred. And stories can congeal and put together themselves and become mythologies, and pretty soon you've got an entire culture that's moving, and it's because of the stories that they tell. But from a brain science perspective, it's just flashing pro-social theory of mind at each other.